Hello everyone, I'm Darsh Shah. I'm a Postman student expert and a full stack developer. So my career revolves around community hackathons and what we can say. Like I am part of many different communities and I have done many open source things. So yes, and I'm part of many different what we can say student programs out there, such as Postman Student Expert, just to name few. I'm part of Auth0 Ambassador program, and I in my free time I write blogs, and that's pretty much about me. So yeah, Amit.
Yeah, hello everyone. I'm Amit Tiwari. I'm currently a final year student of BIT Mesra doing my undergraduate in Bachelor of Engineering, Electronics and Communication Engineering. I'm currently interning as a software developer in Fastnell. I like taking part in various national and international hackathons and even the various coding competitions going around the world like Google Kickstart, Hashcode, and Facebook Hacker Cup. Apart from that, even I like mentoring students, and in my free time, apart from coding and development, I like playing cricket. So yes, that's all about me.
Hello, Meenakshi. Hi.
Hi, I can go ahead. I'm Meenakshi. I'm a developer advocate at Postman. My job is basically to help you out, be successful using Postman and engaging with the community. This is all on Darsh and Amit, and we're going to be by your side. We're going to be active on the chat. So yeah, just feel free to pop and ask your questions through the Slido tab, and we'll be there to help you out. And good luck.
Yeah,
Okay, thank you.
thanks.
So let's start, Amit. Everyone are waiting. Let's start by agenda.
Okay, so the agenda for today is first, we'll be covering the introduction to APIs, and then it will be followed by a guidance session in the Postman Student Expert. After that, we'll be making student expert submission, and in the last, we'll be having the Q&A session. One important thing to note is that the question with the most number of upvotes will be getting an exclusive swag from the Postman team. So go and keep an eye on it. After that, this session will be followed by another session, which will mainly comprise of the support from this session and follow up advanced topics. And then you'll receive your certification and the Postman Student Expert badge. Also, we follow certain code of conduct here at Postman, and so we request you to go and check it out here. So before we start, if you haven't already applied to the Postman student program, please do now by going to this link. Let me drop this link in the chat here. So as you can see, you need to fill this application form. You can do this now as well or later during the session, but make sure you fill it out before making the student expert submission. Apart from that, make sure you use the Slido tab for asking any questions or whenever you are stuck. And before we proceed, you also need to make sure that you download the Postman app. So I'll be sharing a link in the chat. Head over to this link and you will find two options, the Postman app and the other one is the Postman web version. If you already have the Postman app installed, make sure you update to the latest version so that you are on the same page as of us. And regarding if you want to use the Postman web app, you need to install the Postman desktop agent so that you can send requests from the Postman web app. Now coming back to the slides. Okay, over to you, Darsh. You can continue with the introduction.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, I'm audible correctly, right? So should we
Yes,
start?
yes.
Okay. So connectivity is an amazing thing. Using desktops and devices, we can purchase, book, or post, or pay anything anywhere. We all are connected to the world and with each other like never before. So now the question comes, but how is all this thing happening? How data goes from one node to the another node? So and how different applications and devices connect with each other to provide users a way to interact with it. So everything boils down to API, which stands for Application Programming Interface. API makes it possible. to use all the interactivity we have came to expect and rely upon. So what exactly is an API? So think of an API as a waiter in a restaurant. Imagine you are sitting at a restaurant with a table and with a menu with yourself and which have many different choices to order from the kitchen, which is part of the system, which will prepare your order and give back to you. So what's missing over here is the connection link, the communication part between you and the kitchen. Like, so here comes the role of an waiter or an API. So what waiter will do, waiter will take the request from you and it will tell the system, in this case it's kitchen, what to do and what to deliver to you. And then it will deliver back a response back to you. In this case, it's food. So API works in similar way. It will take your request to the server and delivers the response back to you. So now let's just understand some architecture, like what is client server architecture. So imagine a client. Client can be anything, like your mobile devices, your laptop, and anything, which is in need of data. So the request is made by calling an API to the server, and server provides the data as a response to the request. So this is basically what API does. And okay, so for this part, we will be using Postman as a client, and we will make many API requests, which our team build or which is open or which is third-party APIs. So for today's demo, we will be hitting the we will be retrieving or hitting the API to retrieve, update, add, or delete the data. So going back to the next slide, Amit, can you please change the slide? So before making any API request, let's just understand what are the terminologies we can use. So before understanding or before making this API request, API has certain parts to think of, like what are the different methods we are going to use. By methods, I mean if we want to retrieve some data from an API or server, we will be using get request or get method. And if we want to provide us some data to the server, like send the data to a server, we will be using a post method. And we can use put or patch to update the data. And for deleting the specific data from a server, we will be using delete method. So addresses, now comes the part of address. So address is the just like the normal website URL, which we see while browsing the web. And here comes the another part, which is path. Path allows us to build some extra variable data into our request, so which we can pass it around along with our URL. So moving on to the next slide. So before we move ahead, there must be something like we need to specify certain details, like what data we want from the API or the server to return us. So for that, we have parameters. So we can pass certain parameters to our API while hitting the API, and we can ask for specific data. So if we are buying a specific product, so we can pass a parameter product name to that API, and we can ask for that particular data only. So that's the parameter and headers and body. So headers are the information about the request. Headers will just provide us the information regarding the request which is made and which is sent. And body lets us send those data to the API to add such a, for example, to add a new record to the server, we'll be passing certain data. So we'll be passing that data in the body part. Yeah, body helps us to like work with data with API. Moving on to the next slide, receiving the response. Okay, so for this part, we will be receiving certain response after getting data back by our data, by our API. So there are status codes which are returned. So status codes basically indicates the failure or what we can say, whether your API is success or returns fail. So once we hit an API, it will return us a response, whether it should be a fail or a pass or successful. That will be figured out by a status code. So for example, if we if we hit an API and we received a response of 200, that means we have get the data. That is API successfully returns us a response. But what if it returns 401? That is totally unauthorized. That means that you are unauthorized to hit the specific endpoint. Okay. So headers, as we have already covered, that this describes the like request body, or we can say response of the overall data which we are getting back and accessing the body data. So we can visualize like what data is coming back and in which format data is coming back. So that can be visualized inside the body data part. So that these all things will not make sense to you right now, but Amit is going to cover in the demo, so you will get a better understanding about it, like how all these things comes into the picture while working with API and while working with data. Yeah. Next slide, Amit. Okay, so now it's demo time. So let's just start with demo.
So hope you all have downloaded the Postman app. I'll be using the Postman app for this entire session, and Darsh will be using the Postman web version. So you're free to use either of the two. I've dropped a link in the chat. Head over to the link. Yeah. And on this page, click on fork button here at the top.
Amit, can you
Once
please read?
yes,
Yeah.
sorry.
Can you please zoom in a little bit?
Oh, okay. Okay. Is it fine now?
Yes, it's fine. Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe you all can try zooming in your screens as well.
Amit, can you paste the link again in the chat?
Sure, sure.
Uh,
So once, yeah.
Sorry, you might want to paste it in the session chat. I think it's
Okay.
going to the event chat.
Okay, sorry.
No issues.
Amit, please continue. I will paste it. Yeah, right away.
Yeah, I've dropped the link. So once you go to the link, you will find the fork option at the top. You need to click on it. And after that, you need to give some name to this. You can put any name. Let's say Postman training. After this, you will find here, you can go to my workspace. If it is my workspace by default, then let it be. Otherwise, go and select my workspace from here. After that, click on fork collection. Since I've already done this, I'm directly opening my Postman app. So once you have forked that, you can see something like this. You can find one folder here in the left panel, and you will find 3 subfolders inside it. Hope you all have opened that. So I'll be starting with the first one. So in this Postman app, okay, let me plug in my chart. Yeah, so in this Postman app, here you can find the, see, you need to make a request, right? So first you must have the URL to which you need to make the request. So that URL will go here. Then you need to select a method for that particular request. It can be either get, post, put, or delete, as Darsh mentioned. So initially, you will find the URL here and the method as get, and we'll send a request. So let's see what happens. So once you click send, here you can find the status code as 200 OK. That means the request was fine. Now, after sending the request, this API returned some response. So the response contains various fields, right? So like at the bottom of the screen, you can find the console over here. Okay, let me do that once again. So if I click send, see, it shows that you have made a GET request to this URL. Now, if I want to see it further, it will show me all the related things. So see, there's the request headers, then there's the response headers, and then there's one thing, response body. So we'll be focusing mainly on the response body. I'm closing this console right. So from here, as you can see in the body tab, you're getting the response body as something like this. I hope you are familiar with this. This is the JSON format. Usually the client and the server interact in a common format, which is the JSON format, which stands for JavaScript Object Notation. In this, it is similar to a JavaScript object, except the fact that in JSON, the key value pairs are inside double quotes. So you can see everything is inside double quotes. So this is a pretty view of the response body, right? You can see it clearly, the alignment and all. And the raw part is something like this. You wouldn't want to see the raw part. So the pretty thing is quite useful. Now we'll be moving to the, okay. So see, the response contains various key value pairs, the welcome, the data part, the tutorial part. So the tutorial part is what we can see in the visualize tab. So once I click on visualize, so here you can see welcome to the Postman student expert training. So you need to read these instructions and follow along. This API and the collection you imported will guide you through the steps required to become a student expert. So as you can see, it's saying that we got some data and this was the data course. So this was the data returned, right? Now I've already covered the pretty part. And after this, let us go and get some matches. So there's the another thing. See, in this start training API and the get matches API, there's this common URL, right? The entire thing, even in the start training and the get matches. So why should we like write it again and again? So we have something known as setting a variable in a collection, and we can use that in the URL. So how to set in and initialize a variable? So you can do that by clicking this three buttons at the top of the collection name. You can go to edit, and then you will find the variable under the variables tab. You can declare as many variables you want. So for this case, we are going to define a variable training underscore API, and we'll paste the base URL of that here. And after that, we'll click on save. So we have initialized a variable. Now what to do? So since this part has already been covered in a variable, now we'll use the variable training underscore API. Okay. Okay. Now you can, once you hover over it, you will see that it's showing the value as the Postman student expert, the base URL. So this shows that we have initialized a variable correctly. Similar, and after doing this, we can save over here. Similar thing I can do over in matches API as well. And click on save. So see, it's working exactly the same as it was working before this. So that's the use of the, okay, let me check. Training API. Okay. Darsh?
Yes.
Can you once check if you're getting the response as JSON or HTML?
Just a moment. So even for me, I am getting HTML 404 not found.
Yeah, by setting the variable, right?
Yes.
The variable is set. We are getting the values over here. I'm not sure why is it returning HTML instead of JSON. So for the time being, let us keep the initial URL itself, and then later we'll try it again. So basically what we did here was we sent a GET request to this URL to fetch all the matches. So let us, so see, here you are getting the response code as status code as 200 OK. Let us see the body part of the response. So here we have something as welcome message. Then the data part contains an array of matches. So in this array, every element is an object which has certain fields: ID, creator, match type, opposition, date, and the points. So one thing you need to observe over here is, see, some of them have points as -1s. This one has a points of 3, and this again has a point of -1. So points as -1 indicates that the match hasn't been played, and since it has some points like 3, this indicates this match has been already been played. So you'll understand why I'm telling this. Let's see. So now there is something known as query parameters. What it does is we can filter out a portion of the results by specifying the parameters. So let's say we don't want all the matches. We only want the matches which have already been played. So for that, we'll have to specify the key as status and the value as either played or pending. You can do as you want. So I'll be doing, let's say, so for query parameters, head over to this params tab over here, params tab, and you can add the key as status and the value as, let's say, played. So one thing to note here is, as you're typing here, you can see that even the URL is being changed. So this is the way the query parameters are added. You must have seen this in many URLs, that there's the question mark thing, then something equal to this. And then there can be many query parameters added along with the ampersand sign. So in this case, we are using only one query parameters. So what do you think it should return? Instead of returning all the matches, it should return only those matches which have already been played. That means which already have a score. So let us try. Let us go and hit send. Let us observe the response body. So see, here's the welcome message, the data. Now the array of matches has only one object. That is this one with points equals to 3. So since we had queried to send me the results, hello API, send me the results of only those matches which already have been played. So here we have. Now let us try and do it pending. So what do you think it should return? It should return those matches which are still pending and have a initial score of -1. So see, the matches array have this match pending since point is -1, again here -1, and we are not getting the point equals to 3. So this is the beauty of using query parameters. Now heading over to the visualize tab, let us see what's ahead. So yeah, after doing this, make sure you, after like completing every API, you hit on the save button, so that will be used later during the testing time. Now what? Now we need to add some more API requests to this collection. So we can like click on this icon beside the first begin training folder, you'll find an option of adding requests. So you can click over add request. Now we want to create an API for adding a match. So let's say add match. And as Darsh mentioned, whenever we want to send something or add something, we can't make a get request. For that case, we need a post request. So let us change this get to post. And okay, what was the URL? So it was request. So you need to have this URL. We'll be hitting this API to add a new match. And after clicking on save, you'll see that here it changes to post and second is add match. So do you think that this API request is complete as of now by just changing the request method and specifying the URL? Or are we missing something in the post request? Okay, let's find it out. Let us head over to the visualize tab and see. Oops, you got an unauthorized error response. See, the status code here says 401 unauthorized. So what exactly is this? You can imagine something like you are getting some results. Let's say you are getting the items on Amazon and you're making a get request to Amazon and getting all the details of the products, right? But similarly, you are making a post request and changing the price of some item. Let's say it's $500 to $1. So can you make that change? No, you can't, because you're not authorized to do. Similarly, whenever you're making a post request, that is, we are making some changes in the server, we need some authorization. So that is where we need to add the authorization header in this. So you can go to the authorization header, select inherit authorization from parent. In my case, it is selected by default. You can check for yours. Now, what you need to do is go to the email key. Okay, you need to go to this folder, collections. You can click on the edit part, and here in the authorization tab, you'll find something as match key as the key, and the value is email key. But once you hover over it, it says unresolved variable. You don't have a value to this email underscore key. So we need to initialize this variable. Remember how we did in the first part? We'll go to the variables part. We'll type, what was that? Email key, email underscore key. So we'll type it here, email underscore key, and type your email address over here. Remember to only use your personal email address, because this will be the email in which you'll be receiving the certification. So don't use a college or your anything other than the personal email ID. So once we have set the value of the email underscore key, you can click on save here and go back to the authorization tab, and let's now check what is the value of email key. So after hovering, you can find the value. The earlier it was showing unresolved variable. Now it shows, see, my email ID. So this shows we have completed the authorization part. This means that this authorization tab indicates that with every request which we'll send from now onwards, Postman will send my email along with it. So the API would know that from where my request is coming. Hope you got it. So once I've filled out the authorization, so I've set the post method, I've set the URL, I've done the authorization. So am I still missing something in the post request? Okay, let's find out. See, earlier it was 401 unauthorized. Now it's 400 bad request. So why is it saying bad request? It mentions please check your body data. So as Darsh mentioned, with every post request, you need to send some body, because the API is looking for the body data in your request. But currently we haven't mentioned any body. So we need to do that. So what we can do, head over to this body tab, right? And here you will find various types of body data you can send. Like when you fill the sign up form on various websites, so it's kind of form data. Then there's the raw data. We'll be mainly covering raw. So what exactly is raw? By clicking raw, you will find here text and other thing. Just click on JSON format, because we'll be sending a JSON. Now copy this JSON object, or you can give any JSON object you want, any match you want to add. So let's say it's, I'm giving the name Cup Final 5, Academical 5, and this when. So there's another interesting thing over here. In Postman, we can use dynamic variables. So here it will set the when to a random future date. I'll show you this, how it works. So now we are done with the request method, which is the post. We are done with the URL. We are done with the authorization part. And now we have also added the body. It should work fine, right? Let's see. See, you got 201 created. And the response says you added a new match. Your new match was added to the database. But how will I know whether it is added or not? Yes, you guessed it right. I'll go to the get matches and I'll fetch all the matches. See, let me hit a send request. Go to the pretty part. In the matches array, I'll look for something. These were the things which I had added earlier. See, this one, the Cup Final 5 and the Academical 5, I added just now. And the date is some random future date. So it shows 20th January 2022. So we are not concerned with the date as of now, but yes, we have made a successful post request, as you can see over here. Hope this is clear. Now, moving ahead, let's see what needs to be done. Yes, after completing this, don't forget to click on the save. Now we have used the get method, we use the post method. So now we want, let's say we want to, we have, the teams have played a match and we want to update the score. So what will you do? You won't send another post request, right? We want something like updating the score in that particular body itself. So there's this update method. So let's go over here and create another API with add request, update score. So what kind of method this will be? It will be a put, because we want to make update on particular part, and the URL will be, okay, URL will be same as the previous one. So do you think it should work? Because I've just made a change. Okay, like first let me save. So I've just set the method as put. I've set the URL. The authorization was done earlier as so am I still missing something? Any information to update? Okay, let's see. Your request is missing some info. The endpoint, the API requires you to specify a match to update. Yes, correct. We haven't told the API that which particular match we want to update, right? So we need to tell the API that, hey API, this is the match I want to update. So let's see how we can do that. So for that, again, we have to add it in the params part, as I told earlier. So let's add it. Match underscore ID is the key. And what will be the value? What do you think should be the value? So this value will be the match ID of the particular match which I want to update. Please note that you can update only a match which you have added currently. In my case, I have added a match, uh, the Academical 5-1. So I can only update that particular match which I have added. Okay. So how will I get this match ID? So I can go back in my get matches API. I had the response over here, right? See, this Academical 5 of Cup Final 5. I'll copy my match ID from here, go back to the update score API and paste it over here. So as I'm making changes over here, you can see it's being changed in the URL as well. So I have told the API that this is the match I want to update. So what do you think? Is it complete or still I'm missing something? Okay, you'll get to know that. See, 400 bad request. Your request is incomplete. The endpoint requires the body data. Yes. So we want to update on already existing data, right? So we need to specify that what particular thing we want to update in that data. So in our case, the match has been already been played. So we want, let's say, we want to change the points from -1 to some another number. So let's do that. So again, we'll need to send it through the body, right? Body is the place where we can send data to the API. Again, we'll be sending the body in the JSON format. So I'll be copying this. You can put any number over here as you like. And then we can click on send. Let's see what happens. Yes, it is 201 created. And the response is you updated a match. Your match score was updated in the database. Yeah, that's because I had included the body as well, and I had given the match ID as well. So everything was perfect. Now let us see if that was actually been updated or not. So if I go in the get matches, so where can I find the updated score? Do I need to fetch all the matches, or simply I can use the query parameters and do? Let's see. So the status is pending or already it has been played. It has been played, right? Since I've added the score. So let's see and click on send. Let's scroll down and see if we have the thing. See, this was the ID for which I tried to update, and you can see the changes have been reflected over here. The points is currently 5. So even a put request was successful. Let's see what's next. So after doing this, click on save at the top. Now we'll be creating a final request. Now let's say we want to remove a match. So for that, what will we do? We'll add another request in this folder with the name. You can give any name. Let's say remove match. What will be the method of this request? Yes, delete. In the URL, let's see what was the URL. Match. Okay. So the URL is quite similar to the previous one, except that here we have to, okay, I'll show you. Let me save this request and let's try to send the request at this moment. I'll explain what exactly is that :match ID. See, your request is invalid. So I need to tell the API that, hey API, you need to delete this particular match. So have I anywhere mentioned the match ID of which match I want to delete? No, I haven't done it yet. So there is something known as, so apart from the query parameters, there is something known as path variables. So in the complete URL, this is called as the base URL. Then we have the path. So in this case, the path is match, right? And then we can add path variables to it, which signifies that in this match, which particular match I want to delete. So for this, we have this syntax as colon and whatever variable name you want to give. So you can type it here. See, I have this match ID, and let's say we want to delete the particular match which I added. So let me take the match ID from here. I'll paste it in the path variables value. So let us click on send now. See, it shows status as 200 OK. But in the URL, you can't see the match ID, right? So let's see the console once. See at the bottom, the delete request and the match ID variable has been replaced with the ID of the match I wanted to delete. So that is the beauty of adding a path variable, that in the URL you won't be seeing the ID, but it's actually happening. So let's see if that is actually deleted or not. So again, we'll go back to the get matches API and we'll check if my match is there or not. So since I've deleted it, it shouldn't be there now. So let's see. I've clicked on send, got status 200 OK. And now let's scroll down. Cup final 5. Okay, so it's gone. You can't see the cup final 5 anywhere. See, since I've deleted it already. So even the remove match API was a success. Now what after this? Yes, click on save. Then yes, you have completed the first part of the Postman Student Expert training. Next, we are going to jump into the scripting and collection runs folder, the second folder, and Darsh will be covering this. Over to you, Darsh.
Amazing. Great. Yeah. Let me just quickly share my screen.
Yeah.
Hope it is visible.
Yes, it is.
Okay. So for this particular second folder, we will be working with scripting and testing and also the collection runner. Okay. So let's just open the first API, that is get all API. And one thing I would like to make a note over here is for this API, we will be using a mock data. And if you have checked the first API, that was totally hosted and we weren't using mock data. That was actual. But for this particular folder, we will be using a mock data. So let's just go ahead. As you can see, this is the get method. And let's just go ahead and hit the send button and let's see what is the response. Okay. So we are getting response back in a JSON format in which you can just note down that we are getting a data part over here and which is the object, which returns object, and which has a player's key, which is an array of IDs of multiple players. And this is what we are going to work with right now. So let's just hop on over to the visualize tab and let's see what is this all about. So we will be writing test. So basically for in Postman, we will be writing test in JavaScript. So if you are not familiar with JavaScript, you need not to worry about that. We will cover every single bit of it. And also the test which we will be writing is mentioned over here as well. So you can just copy and paste it anywhere you want. So you don't need to worry about whether you are knowing JavaScript or not. So for this purpose, we will be writing test. So as you can see, we are getting data of players, which will be written as an array of an object. with which combines as an ID of multiple players. Okay, so let's just copy this particular test, and here in the test tab, as you can see over here, let me just quickly, okay. Now we are able to paste it, okay. So for test, we will be using PM object. So PM is the basic object which we will be using for writing test in Postman using JavaScript. So PM object provides us a way to manage the response of an API and need to like helps us to evaluate the response as well as the variables or request parameters. So we'll be using PM as an object. So what this particular test does. So before going to that, here you can see this thing where it is the official documentations for writing tests. You can visit this and you can see check of why what this particular thing does and what not. But we'll be covering this particular test as mentioned. So pm.test will take the first argument, like it takes two arguments. So the first argument would be the string, which is been seen after the test runs. And second argument is the function which will get evaluated. So in that particular function, we have mentioned that pm.response to have status of 200. So as I forgot to mention this particular thing. So for writing test, we will be using an assertion library, which is similar to as JavaScript assertion library that is chai. So let me bring, yeah. So this is the chai assertion library, which someone might be familiar with it and others might not be. But this is the simple way to write test, and it helps us to write test in more readable way. So this is what we are going to use. So as you can see over here is what pm.response does is it will return us a response back. Like when we hit the API, and the response which we are getting will be returned by pm.response. And what we are checking here is that pm.response should have the status score of 200. So as we have already seen, we are getting 200 as a status code back. So let's just try to run this particular API again, and let's see what we are getting as a test result. Okay, so we are getting back as 200. And as you can see in this test result tab, we are getting one-on-one. What that means is we are getting our test pass. Why? Because as we have written the test as this response that we are receiving is to have a status score of 200, and we are getting a 200 as a status score. So this is the easy thing, like this is the easy part of writing test. This is how easy it is to work with testing in like Postman. Yeah. So as you can see here is status code is 200. The string is visible over here. So this is why we are passing this particular string just to get an idea which test we have tested for which collection. So let's just now deliberately try to fail this particular test, and let's see how differently it renders. So we will be passing status code of 400, and we will change the string as well. So if we try and run the API, so what we are doing over here is we are telling that pm.response should have status code of 400, but what we are getting over here is 200, which is different. So our test should fit, right? And this is what we can see over here. Let's just hop on over to this test result tab, and as you can see how different it renders. So we are getting fail over here, and it also suggests us that expected response to have status score of 400, but it got 200. So this is how we can work with test. This is the basic example of writing test. And one thing to notice over here is make sure you save this particular API after running it, just to get familiar with. In future, we will be using collection runner. So for that purpose, we will be needing this particular test results to be seen over there. So this was it. Let's see we are missing on something or not. So this thing is already covered. We have also covered deliberately failing test. Okay, so this was the thing. Now let's open the second API, which is get specific player. So for this particular API, as I already mentioned that we are using mock data. So we will be working with mock data for this particular uh, folder. And in this API, we will be finding a specific player. So this particular API needs to take the arguments or the parameters, query paras. Because what we are doing over here is we are finding a specific per player, detail for specific player. So let's just try and hit this particular API. Okay.
Darsh, Darsh, could you
So
zoom
we
in a
are,
bit into your screen and
yes.
maybe just slow down a little? A few of the people are a bit behind, so. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Sure. So is it now visible?
Yeah, it's slightly blurry. I think that was the feedback, but I guess yeah, if you zoom in, then it should be clearer.
Okay. Let me just quickly remove this particular part. Okay. Okay. So for this particular API, as I have already mentioned, that we will be targeting a specific player detail. So I have changed this view just to get an overall readability view for you. So let's just hop on over to this visualize tab and let's see what we are getting. Okay, so as I mentioned, as we are targeting a specific player, we will need to pass a query parameter for that specific player. So in parameters, we will be writing and passing an key as an ID. So let's just quickly change this thing. Okay, let me just, yeah. So we will be passing key as an ID. And as it is mentioned over here is, we will need to add a player ID as a value. So we won't be passing the value for that particular ID manually, but we will be, what we are trying over here is we need to take that player ID variable value automatically, just to get familiar like how we can use test for that specific purpose. So what we'll do is we'll pass the player ID as a variable. Okay, so we have, as if we like hover over on that player ID part, we can see now that it is totally unresolved. So what basically we want is, as we can see that first API was get all players, which was returning us the array of players with their IDs. So we now want is our like basic need is we need to pass that ID from the response of first API to the in the like parameter for the second API. So this is a bit confusing over here, I know, but this is what we are getting into. So we want is if we are working with multiple APIs and if we want to use response of other API to a specific API, we can how we can deal with that particular case will be seen here. So as we can see that we have passed the player ID over here and which is unresolved because we haven't declared the value and we haven't declared that specific variable. So let's see what is next. Okay, so now we will be working with different environments. So let's set up a specific environment for that. And for that, I will need to zoom out a little bit. Okay, so here at the top right, you can see the eye icon. If you hover on it, yeah, you can see that it shows that environment quick look. So from there, you can add that environment part and you can name the environment as you want, which can be the test environment. And we need to assign a specific variable to that. So that variable name was player ID. So as we have discussed that we won't be passing value manually, but what we will do, we will write a script which will take a specific player ID from the first API and will assign that value to this player ID. So we'll be now doing that. Just save it. So the totally new environment is created, and that new environment can be seen from here. So here is the drop down for the environments. So for now, we haven't selected any specific environment. And environment, if we want to create an environment for a purpose that we need to make sure what we can say, we can cover all the variables for that specific environment, not globally. So now let's just switch that environment part to the test environment, which we have created. And now you can see that the color for that player ID is changed. Why? Because we have already declared that specific variable in this particular environment, which is test environment. And it is not included in this player no environment. So for now, it is unresolved. But if we change this to test environment, it will now be changed. But there is no value. As you can hover on it, and as you can see, the initial and current value for this particular variable is not defined yet. But we will be writing test for assigning that value. So if you scroll down a little bit, we can copy this particular test. And what we are doing with this is we want, again, I'm repeating, we want the response from the get all players which we are getting as an array of players, which is returning an array of IDs of that specific players. We want to assign that random ID for that for a player which we are finding and need to assign that to player ID variable. So what we will be doing is let's just jump on over to this get all players API, and inside the test tab, as we are writing the scripts, after this test which we have written previously, just paste this particular test, and let me just quickly remove this. Yeah, so it should be visible, right? Okay. So what this test does is pm.response will return a response in a JSON format, and it will return a response, and we are converting it to JSON. And what we are doing is we are targeting the data part of that response, and we are targeting this players part. So what this list will get, this thing will return us a players array, which can be seen over here. This is the players array, which will get assigned to this variable, which is players list. And now what we are doing, like what this bit of code is doing, we are setting an environment. So PM object, we are passing PM object, PM.environment set this particular player ID. For this environment, test environment, we are selecting this player ID. And what we are doing is this particular bit of code is doing something like that, like this, like what is it is doing is it randomly picks the value for that players from that array which is returning from the players list, and it will return us an object. As you can see over here is this players has the array of objects. This is one object, this is the second object, and this is the third object. So what this represents is this represents the ID for that one player. This is the second player, and this is the third player. So what we want is it should return a random array for that player or selected player, and we are targeting that object's ID property. So that ID will be assigned to this player ID. So I hope this is understandable. So let's just now hit this particular API and let's see how differently it renders. So as we have written, as we have run this particular API, and if we go back to this get specific player API, and if we hover on this player ID, so that ID is assigned. So for me, it's one, but for you, it can be different. So there is, it returns the random ID. So there is no specific thing like I am getting one, you should also be getting one. It is totally depending on what that random value returns. So if we just try to change the environment, and if we see again that player ID is unresolved. Why? Because that ID which we have assigned to that player ID is for that specific environment only, not for global environment. So for now, we are in different environment. That's why we are getting unresolved. And if we change the environment, we'll be getting back the value. So this is the reason why we are using or why we are making use of environments. So what's next? Let's see. So we have already covered this part. Okay. So what if we want to if we change the environment and if we try to hit this particular thing, it won't like here the value of player ID is totally different. We are not getting any value. So if we want to assign this player a random value, how we should do that? Let's just quickly open that. Send. Okay. So we forget to hit this particular thing. Like if value is assigned, right? We are getting a specific value for this player ID. As we have changed this environment, we are getting player ID as 1. And if we try to hit this particular API, we are getting back with a response which says that your request is successfully specified a player to retrieve using that ID. So this is particularly if we try to see the console, the last API which we have written is it takes the ID as 1 for the player and it returns some particular data for that API. And if we check the response body, we are getting data for that player. So as I mentioned, this is totally mock data. So we are playing with mock data. It might return you some other details because we are getting and mock API and we are getting random data back. So it won't be similar for many of us and it might be different for everyone. Okay, so as I can see the comments, people are far behind right now. So let's review like what we are currently doing and how much we have covered till now. So if you open the second folder, the first API is for getting all players data. And forgot about this test thing. We have written the first test, forgot about the second test. And if we try and run hit this particular API, we are getting response back as the data. And we are getting players array inside that, which covers every object for that player's ID. So in the second part of this API, which is targeting a specific player for that purpose, we are including this player ID as a parameter. So we are not deliberately passing or we are not actually passing by default values for this player ID. What we are doing is we are writing a script that will pick a random value from the response of the first API and it will be set as the value for this particular player ID. Okay, so after running this test, which we have written over here, and if we hit send, that particular random value is assigned, that random ID is assigned to this player ID. And now, if we try to run this particular API, we are getting back a response that we are getting a mock data, which is, as you can see, the request return the following random mock data. So this might be different for us and it might not be same as I am getting. So our purpose now is what if we try to change this environment? So for now, this is totally unresolved. And for that ID, we are not assigning any default value to that particular API. So for this particular thing, we will be writing pre-request script. So which will run before the request is sent already. So yes, this is the test or pre-request script which we will be writing for setting default value for player ID. So what this thing do is it will check. This is the normal if condition which you might be familiar with. And what it will do is it will just check the pm dot variables. So as I mentioned, that pm object works with the variables as well as the response and the request. So we are targeting the variables, and we are this get method takes the first argument, like only one argument, and this set method takes two argument. So for get method, we are getting a specific, what we can say, we are targeting specific variable. So what this script does is it will check whether this variable is present in the global scope or not, or in that particular environment or not. So if that is not present, which we have appended at the start, so what it will do, if this is not present, this is true. This might be true. So now the pm dot variable set, it will set the player ID to -1 by default. So what this will do, it will check whether the player ID is present in that particular environment or not. And if not, it will create one and assign a default value as -1. So if we try and run this particular API, let's see what we are getting back. So yes, we are getting back the mock data as we have requested. And how we can see that this -1 value is set or not. So just hop on over to this console. And if you try and see the last API which we have called that has request parameter as -1, see this ID is -1, which is by default, it takes by default, no matter which environment we are. So if we are in specific environment where the value is already declared, it will take that specific value. Otherwise, it will take the default value. I hope this might be clear. So now let's just see like what we are remaining with. So I have already covered this part. Okay, so yes, if we in future, if you want to work with or develop your own API, we need a documentation for that same. If we try to make our API public, it should be like understandable by the other users as well. So for that particular purpose, we need to add some description for some APIs. So let's see how easy it is to add description in this particular part. So how we will do this? Here, just below the eye icon, you can see the documentation icon. If you hover on this, just click on it, and here is the edit button over here. Just click on that, and here it is. So this is where you will be writing documentation for this specific API. Which API we are currently using? We are using get specific player. So let's and this documentation part, it will be written in Markdown. So if you might be familiar with Markdown, if you have already used GitHub, GitHub uses Markdown by default. So yeah, we'll be writing Markdown over here. Let's just try to document it. And just try to add this thing. And if we save it, it might be visible in this way. So if you, this is not the official documentation for this particular API, but this is just the just to show you that like how you can write the API documentation inside the Postman. And if you want to view this particular thing in web, so what you can do is you can just hover to this particular your collection part and just this view more options, click on that, and you will find the option as view documentation. So go to that view documentation part. There you can see the list of APIs which this collection has. So we might be looking for this get specific player API. And if you see, we are on get specific player API. There is this particular documentation. So we recommend you to write this documentation for each and every API which you might be seeing over here. And then for the submission purpose, it might reflect like how well you have like got this particular concepts inside. So just try to figure out the documentation for each API and write it accordingly. Okay, so let's see what is next. Okay, so now it's time for the last final API, which is get stats. So this particular API, let's just try like what response we are getting back. Okay, so we are getting back an data which is an object which returns us the team statistics for this particular purpose. So let's hop on over to this visualize tab. Okay, so as you can see that we are getting team statistics for this API, and we will, for this particular thing, we will be using collection runner. So what this collection runner will run all of your requests in a sequence manner, or you can provide a sequence in which way you want to prefer. So a collection runner will run your request and it will log all of your test details inside that particular part. And so that it will be easy for you to manage your APIs and to test your APIs. So how to see like how to run your collection runner over to this testing scripts. So below right, you might be seeing this runner thing. Click on that. So this is the collection runner which we will be using. So collection runner takes the collection and it runs through that in the sequential manner. And what it will do, it will log the test results inside it. So collection runner is used for testing your API or making your test cases more automated. And you can even integrate CI/CD in that particular part in collection runner, or collection runner might be included in your CI/CD pipeline. So if we try, like it might be seen, you might be seeing that drag your collection from or a folder into this slide bar. So let's just copy or just drag it over here. So you might be seeing that we are getting all the three APIs inside this particular folder. And if you can change the order in which they iterate, otherwise they will run in sequential manner as well. So now you can see over here is there are a number of iterations which we need to specify, like how much time or how much iterations we would like to run this particular collection runner on these APIs. So we will keep it one as it is, and there is delay thing and data. If you want to attach a file or select a file over here, you can do that. And let's just keep this particular thing as it is, or you can save your response as well. And let's just try to run this collection runner over student expert collection. So you might be seeing that these are the test results for your collection. So first API is failing and other two are passing. Why first is failing? Because we have written a deliberately failed test over there. So let's just remove that particular test from there and we can change it to 200 again and try to run it. Make sure you save this particular thing. Otherwise, your collection runner will not get the updated value for your test scripts. So let's just hop on over to that collection runner part and let's just try to run it again. So if you see now again, we're getting test results as pass, as we have already changed that status code to 200 and all the tests are passing. So this is what collection runner is for, just to log your test results over here and you can monitor anywhere, anytime you want. So now let's just go back again to get statistics part and let's see what is coming next. So we have already covered this part to check this whether we are getting a status code of 200 or not. Okay, so there is this thing. Now we want slightly different complex script which we want to test. Like we will be seeing that the response data which we are getting from the in response to get stats request, if it contains all the keywords or all the keys as from the like response, let's just try to understand this particular part. Let's just copy this, and inside test, what we are doing is we are just pasting it. And if you try to go through that particular response which we are getting back when we run this get state part, we are getting an object back which has certain keys which are won, lost, and true. So what this test does is it will take this response and it will check whether this returning object or this response has this following keys or not inside that. So this is what we are doing. So as pm.test, it will take for string, which is text include all fields. If it includes all fields, it will return as pass, otherwise it will fail. And you might have guessed it, right? That it will be passing as we are getting all the fields inside that. And another parameter is the function, which will check whether we are getting all the three parameters or not. So how to evaluate this particular test? So we are declaring a specific what you can say variable for JSON data just to get the value for inside it, and we can pass it later on, or we can use it later on. So pm.response will return us data. So you might have guessed right. This is the data. This is the data which is written and saved inside this JSON part. And what this particular test or script does is it will expect JSON data to have all the keys won, lost, and true. So if it has all of it, the test will be passed. So let's just try to hit this particular API and let's see what results we are getting back. So if we try to send, okay, now let's just see this, hop on over to this test result tab. You might be seeing that statistics include all the field and it is passing. Our test is passing for this particular API. Let's just see what is coming next. So here is the trickiest part for this part. Like now again, we will try to run our, like before that, just save it. And we will try to run our runner over in this. So let's just copy this particular folder inside it and let's just run it again. So you might be getting it right. Like the get state part, we are getting for that particular test, statistics includes all the field. This is why we write particular string just to get understanding whether which tests are running and which we are getting in the collection runner. So let's just go again and let's see what is coming next. Okay. So for this part, what we will be writing script for get specific player. So now what we will be doing is this is something like trickiest part for this testing. Like we want to reiterate multiple times, or we want to loop it the response of specific API for getting a required data from it. So what we are doing is, so if we go back to this get specific player data, and if we try to hit it again, so the data which we are getting back is the array or object we are getting back, and which has property name as name and played. So this played property has value varying from 0 to 1000. And for this part, what we will be doing is we will be iterating over this get specific player API, and it might be hitting multiple times just to get the variable value for the played value to be 750. So the array which is written by this specific API, it must have played value greater than 750. So this is what we want to achieve. So let's just copy this particular script and paste it inside this second API, which is get specific player. Okay, so let's now evaluate like what is happening and why we are doing this. So what this condition is inside the if condition, it will check pm.response dot data. So this part will be the data part which we are getting back. So you have now imagined it right. this is the thing which we'll be getting inside this part, this object. And we are targeting the played property inside that by dot notation. And we'll be checking that whether they're getting 750 or not. So for this purpose, we are using PM object. But here, as you can see, if test passes, we are using a Postman object. This is a totally new object, which is which helps us to reiterate or which helps us to loop in to the specific environment request is. So we can just loop over the multiple requests using this Postman object to achieve this functionality. So what this will do is, if the played property which we are receiving is less than 750, it will run this particular request again, and it will take a first parameter as get all specific pair. So what this set next request does is, it will take a first parameter and it will call that specific activity API inside this particular test. Yes, right? So what now let's just try to hit and send. So this won't do anything, but if we try to go back into the runner, which is over here, and just try to run it again. So you might be seeing multiple requests. Let's see what we are getting. Okay. So we are getting back the results, and we are, as we can see from here, request body. Sorry, we might have taken the wrong thing. So this API is returning us a response back with played value as 941. So you might be seeing some different value. As for you, it might be reiterating for multiple times. If we try to run it over again, let's see what we are getting. So again, we are getting it right. So it might be stopped because we are getting the response correctly, which is the case over here. Okay. So what I hope this particular thing is clear for you. Like if we try to run this particular run case again, or if we try to run this collection runner again on this particular file, and let's just try to see like what APIs or logs which we are getting. Okay, so we forgot to save this particular test. So that's why we are not getting a log for this API. See, we are not getting log over here because we forgot to save this particular test after adding it. So let's just run it again and see whether we are getting it or not. So you might have seen this, that this get all players or get specific player is called multiple times, and get all players is called multiple times. Why? Because it is reiterating over to it, and just to check that particular condition whether we are getting the played value greater than 750 or not. So this is for the third folder. Like, so you have completed the student expert training program, and congratulations for that. So all these are the tests which we write in the regular basis. So this was it about it. And now I think over to Amit just to complete the submission part. Amit?
Yeah, thank you, Dash.
Yeah, take it forward. Yeah.
So once you all have done with the first and second folders, now we are only left with the file check progress part. So in this, what you need to do is first click on the send button and you will receive a response. Wait a minute. So you'll receive a response, skill checker is incomplete. So you can scroll down below and see that there are 6 things which you need to do. And currently all those are cross marks because we haven't completed. So you need to complete these on your own by reading the required changes you need to make. Okay, and like let's say you do you complete a particular point. After doing this, you again make a you do a send request, and then you will see a tick mark over here. Similarly, you need to do such changes, and you need to get tick marks in place of these cross marks. So once you get all these 6 ticks, it will show skill checker is complete. After that, you need to go to the wait wait a minute. So yes, after that you'll need to go click on the 3 buttons beside your collection, click on share collection, get on to the get public link tab, and click on get public link. This will be used to confirm your results. So here, see, the link is generated. You simply need to click on update link, copy it to clipboard, and move in the test collection API. So in this, you need to paste your URL over here. What it will do, and then hit a send. So this is basically an API to test what all have you done. So currently you can see only 6 out of 11 tests are passing for me. So you need to make sure that all the 11 tests are passing for you. And once you have completed all the 11 tests, then again, you need to go to the share collection part, get onto the get public link tab, make sure you click the update link. Then only those changes will reflect and your all the 11 tests will be passed. So after clicking on the update link, again, I'll have the link copied in my clipboard. Then you need to move over to the collection Google Doc. So can we have this link in the chat, Darsh?
Sure, sharing it
Oh,
right away. Yeah.
so this is the doc, and you need to fill your details, the email which you used to register for the previous doc, this Postman Student Expert application, the same email you have to use here, and you need to fill all these details and finally paste your link over here and click on submit. We'll be verifying your results, and then we'll be awarding you with the Postman Student Expert badge. So yeah, and the most awaited part, the swag. So participating in the Postman Galaxy student training also entitles you to some cool swags. So you can avail these swags by going to this URL. Darsh, can we have this as well in the chat?
Sure. Yeah. Okay.
And
So now we are open for Q&A. I think. Yeah. So guys, if you have any questions or if you missed out something on something, you can ask it and we can answer it here. Yeah. So Meenakshi, do we have any questions?
Yeah. So there are a couple of upvotes for this question. It's by Andrew Bounce. What is the most complicated? It may be multiple requests or like a very big query or requests that you have made with Postman.
Okay. It depends actually. So there won't be any like specific thing like a multiple request or big query request is like more complicated. Uh, that depends on what request you are sending and where you are sending. So
yeah,
that-
it depends on the requirement we have, which project we are doing. So it's completely upon us how we use.
or Meenakshi, do you want to add something on it?
Uh, sure. So there are a couple of pretty complicated collections and workspaces that you might find if you go to postman.explore.com. I'll just paste the link out there. It's good to just find out what other folks have created and to see what can be done and how complicated you can get if you're interested in that. So that should be a good way to find out.
Perfect. Guys, do we have any questions? You can write it in the chat or in the Slido, and we'll try to answer all of them.
Feel free to ask anything wherever you are stuck or anything.
Or do you want to repeat anything so that we can write test scripts?
And we can even have a poll, like if they are comfortable with the walkthrough and all.
Okay, so Amit, can you please try and run like how we pop in the runner part? Just open the runner. Yeah.
Okay. So what do I need to cover?
Just yeah, runner. How to open the runner part? Yeah.
Okay, so in this version, I can find the runner here at the bottom right. I'm not sure which version you are using. So here we can set the number of iterations we want, and accordingly we need to like select which collections we want to run. So, and after clicking on this, we can start the run. So I think you were asking only about like where can I find the runner button, right?
So Meenakshi, do we have any other questions?
Can you write test scripts if the content type is not JSON but text?
So we are getting back text, or or what is the question like? So as mentioned, yeah, as mentioned by Amit, like the data which we'll be receiving will be in JSON format. So yeah, it will be returning, yeah, JSON only. It will be returning JSON only. So Amit, do you want to add on something?
I've used the test with JSON only, so I'm not sure. Like, go ahead and explore these things. It's fun while exploring different things. So that's the main fun while doing development. So you're free to explore anything and everything. Like you, any doubts you're getting in your mind, like what will happen if I hit this API? Like what if I do this and all? So you can go and try.
There's another one about could you show the API documentation part in brief?
Okay, sure. Yeah. Let me just quickly share my screen. I hope it is visible. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So for writing API documentation, let's say we are writing documentation for get states. How we should do that? Here is the thing, like below the I or environment thing, we are getting a documentation icon over here, right side panel. Just click it. So you must be in on different version. So you might be seeing some different thing, but this is on the latest version. We might find this documentation part over here, and inside this particular thing, you will find an edit icon over here, where you have to click it, and you can write this markdown. So in this way, you can write documentation for this specific API. And if you try like test documentation, and there are many other things you can use while working with markdown. Like in this way, you can mention like what things we have done inside this API. We have worked with scripts. We have worked with scripts, just for an example. Yeah. And hit the save button. And you might be seeing this documentation over here for this API, which is for get states. So this is how you can write a documentation for your API So yeah, this is basically it. Okay, Amit, we do have another question, which is, can you show the skill check and test collection URL with this share collection?
Sorry, Dash, I couldn't follow.
Yeah, so we do have one more question, which is, can you show the skill check and test collection URL with the share collection? So can you take the last part, like how
Okay,
to
okay,
submit the,
sure, sure.
your collection? Yeah.
Let me share my screen. So, like, I'm assuming that you have completed all these steps, all the 6 things which you were supposed to do, and now you're looking for the link to share. So, besides your collection name, you'll find 3 dots. These you can click on Share Collection, and then move to this Get Public Link tab. From here, if you haven't generated a link, you'll find a button to generate the link. If already done, you'll see something like this. Then you can click on Update Link so that those changes are saved along with the link. Once it is updated, you can copy this link and enter this link in the so like, are you asking about the test collection part? If you are asking about the text collection part, you can paste the link in this URL in this part and then click on send again and check if all the 11 tests are passing or not. If it's not passing, make changes again to these things. If it's passing, then you are good to go and you can fill the form, student expert submission. You can make the submission. So yeah, hope
So
it's clear now.
yes, yes. So we do have another question. So what are the ideal situations where you would set variables within your collection versus global or inside a workspace?
Okay, so like, let's say you are working on various environments, the local development or it's the testing. So in that case, you can set the variables in the environment. But usually if I'm working only locally, so I'd not prefer to set the variables in the environment. Rather, what I'll do is to set the variables in the collections itself. So it's a complete choice. It depends on the use case you are trying to do. So you're fine with anything. And like, I'll put some link and you can go through the documentation, Postman documentation regarding the variables as well.
Perfect, perfect. So what's my take on this is, if you are working with multiple APIs, then you can create a collection for that APIs thing, and you can make a total different environment for that collection, and you can work with the same. So you can, at the same point of time, you can work with many other collections, and you can switch multiple environments as and when needed. So yeah.
Yeah. So I see another question. Can you go over a few scenarios where you used Postman in school or work? I'm struggling to understand when I would break out Postman. Okay. So the very first time I used Postman was during my first year of college, and like, I was a complete new in the tech field. So I participated in a hackathon along with my team. So as a like student, what you would generally think that we were making some website. So we thought of waiting for the front end guys to make the front end and then take the form data from there on our backend part and then execute from there. But later we discovered Postman and like used it. So the use case is, you don't need the front end part or anything any forms as such to use to test the APIs. So what we did was, from the start itself, the front end team was working on the front end part, the sign up forms, login forms, etc. And we wrote the APIs and we tested our APIs from the Postman app. So we selected the post method, we went on to the body tab and we selected the form method, because in this walkthrough we had used raw, remember, raw, and then we changed to JSON. But you can use anything. So similarly, like, just I'm giving an example for the sign up form, you can use the form data and then you can give the key value pairs like name, then you can give any random name, Amit, and then email, your email, and then once you send, you'll find that the server is handling the requests as it should. So yeah, you can use. So this is well the first time I used Postman. Dash, you want to add anything?
Perfect. No, no, no. That's pretty much it. You covered every aspect of it. Yeah. So we have one more question. Like, when is the deadline for submission? So for deadline, there is no deadline, but we insist you to submit as soon as possible. So our team can check your submissions and get back to you as soon as possible. And as early as you submit your submission part, you will get or you will earn your student expert badge. So that's on you, like how you want to submit or how soon you want to submit. Yeah.
Sure. I would also like to add to the previous question, and my perspective is totally like if you think like everyone works in different environment. So maybe you are a front end user, or maybe you are a back end developer, or maybe you are a tester, right? So for everyone, Postman is a tool which will be acting in different ways. So if you're a tester, you might be basically writing text scripts and testing it out like full fledged. If you are a front end developer, then basically you will be trying to render the data and how it looks like, where which array is there, so that you can put it up in the JavaScript and it works on your website. And as backend developer, I guess Amit explained it really very well, how it is going to be, how the data is going to come and then how you're going to store. So I hope that clarifies a bit for different job roles as well.
Perfect. Yeah.
Uh, I see another question. Should we use personal or corporate email address for the certification registration? So you should use a personal email address because that will remain with you forever. And similar, so will the batch be the student expert batch.
Okay. So if you need any other help, you can always check out the forum that Postman has. And if you want to learn something, if you want to learn like how Postman do this particular thing or what concepts it uses, you can always hop on to this learning.postman.com, verify in the official documentation, and you can explore it on it. And if you need some more examples like public APIs which are hosted, or you want to explore, you can just go to explore.postman.com. So yeah, this is pretty much it for the session, I guess. So Ali or Meenakshi, do you need to add something more to it, or do you have any end comments?
I guess we're done. Thank you so much for doing the session, and hopefully we've been able to answer quite a lot of the questions. In case you haven't got answers to the questions that you've asked either on the chat or you have more questions, just feel free to like speakers will be here. We'll all be here there in the chat to answer the questions, or you could also meet us at the booth, or yeah, we'll be around. So
Yeah. Also, one more thing I emphasize on is to register yourself in the form. That is because we might reach out to you with further opportunities, going forward. So please register yourself as well in the form which was shared earlier. We'll share that in the chat right now as well, so that you go ahead and register yourselves as well.
thank you.
Okay, thank you so much for joining us today. Thank
Thank
you.
you so much, everyone. Hope you enjoyed the session.
Thank you so much, everyone.